Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I'm coming at you with a video about the PSA Dagger. This video is kind of in part a response to a trench grenade, if you're familiar with him. He runs a YouTube channel and he's the army and all that good stuff. Puts out great videos, you should definitely check him out. Definitely have my disagreements with him, especially about PSA products. Not on all things, but PSA is probably where we would clash heads. And that's why I'm making today's video specifically about PSA Dagger. As you can see here, weapon is clear, empty, magazine, or empty. Alright, so this here is the PSA Dagger compact model. As you can tell, I did some stippling to it by myself. Some of it turned out okay, some of it didn't. But cheap gun, not really worried about. This gun here, this PSA Dagger, has roughly 2,000 rounds through it. I've used this weapon to qualify at my local sheriff's office, and I trust it. I do. I really do. The only thing I really don't care for is the completely blacked out sights, which I get to coat with this. But whenever you're not using a red dot, I went ahead and put some red orange paint on the front of that front sight there. So like I said, qualify with this in my sheriff's office, have roughly 2,000 rounds through it. And I've had less malfunctions through this specific dagger than I did my Glock 17, which was the issued weapon in my previous agency. So yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about it. I know that's kind of just a, oh wow, what a video. But that's the thing. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I've had good experiences with the daggers. As far as I know, fully compatible with Gen 3 Glocks, which is exactly what it is. Good little weapon. Now, is this for everybody? I don't think so, but I think this does fulfill the role that this weapon needs to for a lot of people. For example, I can think of my dad. He doesn't have a lot of money. There's little side gigs here and there. He's retired. He's not getting much money in from retirement, that kind of situation. So for him to go bust out $600 for a Glock, I know in the end, like, well, it's worth it. It's buy once, cry once. But for a lot of people, they just don't have the means to do that. So that's where something like this, you get between $270 to $350, depending on your options and transfer fee, a variety of different factors. But that's where something like this here comes into play here. See, already RMR cut, accepts PMags, triggers mediocre, but not too different than a Gen 3 Glock trigger. So someone who's on a tighter budget where every dollar does count, it's a fine gun. And I hate to be the guy to just, confirming like what you want to hear. Like, oh, I have a PSA Dagger, it's the greatest thing. I'm not saying it's going to last as long as a Glock, but we need to know what our mileage is whenever we're talking about this weapon. So a Glock, if it has to go 100,000 rounds before it needs any recoil spring change or just any respringing of any sort, 100,000 rounds is a pretty good mark. But what if this gets up to 75, 80,000 rounds before it needs the same repairs? That's not bad considering what you're paying. It's giving the average person almost the same mileage. I know 20,000 rounds is a lot, but if we're saying that this gun has, we're just guesstimating here, I'm not sure. Because, like I said, I think it's fair to say, yeah, Glocks will probably work pretty flawlessly for almost 100,000 rounds before you need to spring change, not just spring it just because I feel like it, or it is a little weak, the spring's a little, I'd be like, actually, like you have a problem because it needs to be resprung. If you get 80% out with this, which is about half the cost, you got your money's worth out of it. And I think for most Americans, I think that's a good choice. However, lemons do leave the factory at PSA. We know that, it happens, but it happens with every company. So at least PSA normally should make it right. I believe they will. So he's releasing his 2,000 rounds tomorrow, and he's gonna say, what do you, he says, what do you think are the malfunctions? Well, I think if anything, he had one failure to fire in the first 1,000. He may have another failure to fire. If anything, maybe a failure to extract. That's if we're not counting the PMags as the issue. Have I had any issue with PMags? No. Have I shot a lot of rounds through PMags? Yes. I get they're not as reliable, they're not as smooth functioning as the Glock magazines, but I don't have anything bad to say about the PMags themselves. Yes, I think they're the worst mag that PMag makes, really just because it's missing that metal lining on the inside that the Glocks have. Um, yeah, so I don't know if you're a fan of trench grenades and you're kind of on the fence about a dagger. You could get one that's maybe a lemon, but I think for the most part, you're gonna be pretty satisfied. Especially with this compact model here, it's like a Glock 19. It's also what he's testing, same size and frame. Can't think of anything bad to say. I did leave this out in the snow for like I think a day and a half up here where I'm at, and I pulled it out and just rubbed it down, and still looks fantastic. The only thing I have going on here is some holster wear right there, some wear on the ejection port, and some wear up over here. So I hope y'all liked today's video. I know it's not a video I typically like to do, and I didn't really think this video out if you couldn't tell. I just put this video out just saying that I think that this is a good option. I have good experience with it. It, for me, has a proven record. I'm not saying there are. I said lemons could definitely exist. However, I know several people that own daggers. I couldn't count them on my hand, and they've all been fantastic. So some people put more rounds through them than others. You know, and that's just the brutal fact of, you know, firearms owners. Some people don't really shoot their guns that much, and which is a shame. But then, by some extent too, there's a financial, limit to that. Even for me, that's why I wish I could test rifles more often, but at the same time, I don't have the budget to go just casually burn down 2,000 rounds through a PSA upper or something, you know. And my thing is too, why would I review guns that I know are gonna work? Specifically, I'm talking about Glocks, Smith & Wessons, and I guess to some extent even the SIGs. We know they're gonna work, we know they're gonna shoot, and we know they're, for the most part, pretty reliable. That's why I really want to test out the Tauruses, the PSAs, Inglis, the Gearson Regards, just because these guns often get overlooked, and I think, well, you know, we don't know the name of them per se. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with that per se, you know, but, you know, these are guns that we need to test and put through their paces. So, like I said, we know Glocks are going to work, but let's test out all these other guns. So if someone's like, well, why aren't you carrying Glock? I have a Glock. That's actually my main duty weapon now. It's a Glock 19X with a Streamlight TLR1HL. So absolutely nothing wrong with Glock. They're fantastic. They work. They're reliable for the most part, except for the one I had, which was a lemon. But, you know, we know some of these guns just work, and there's no need to test them beyond what they've already been tested. These are new guns in comparison. Even though it's a Glock mechanism, still need to test the craftsmanship and how the parts are going to hold up over time. This is a gun I want to test. The Taurus GX4. That's a gun probably need to test. Great mechanism, feels good. However, we see how that's going. Might be I'm only at 200 rounds, but we see how that's going. I would like to test the Taurus TX 22 and the Gearson Regard and the Inglis high power clone. So, like I said, fine gun. It's going to work. Don't overcomplicate it. If you can't afford a Glock, get the Glock. If you're really that strapped for cash and you need to actually save up money over a long period of time just to get something, I don't think there's anything wrong with getting this. But buy Glock mags just to have and actually use that to carry. P-mags are good for training. You know, I had no bad experience with them. Of course, I would use the Glock mags for actual defensive use or carry use. So that's all I really got to say about the PSA Dagger. I hope y'all don't mind this quick little upload here in my workshop. So hope y'all enjoyed today's video. I appreciate the like and subscribing y'all are doing. So until next time, God bless y'all.